chemical solutions to visual solutions. Later on, we'll have some time to break into breakout rooms and network. And we have a little trivia later on. And at the very end, we'll conclude with closing remarks. Um, Before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about how we got started as a tug. The catalyst for this tug was Tableau conference. I felt a little nervous going into my first conference, but I felt more at ease as I talked to fellow Asian and Pacific Islander Tableau users. And so, as a user group, we want to make sure we're taking up space at the table, the Tableau table. We want to connect with others as well as support and elevate Asian Pacific Islander professionals in data analytics. Here is the leadership team. My name is Elaine Yan. I am based in New York City, and I am a Tableau and Alteryx consultant with the Information Lab. Bianca, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Bianca. I'm also a consultant with the Information Lab US. I have a lot of experience in like the financial services, and something really interesting about me is that I also run Data Plus Women New York City, another tug here, and we run them hybrid. So if you're in the New York City area, feel free to send me a DM, reach out. I'm happy to plug our next event to you.
And I am June. I'm also from the Information Lab. I've only been using Tableau for like a year-ish, but I love it so far. It's been very compelling, especially the data fam. So I'm really happy to be here and co-leading. And I'm going to pass it to Emily.
Thanks, June. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily DePadua. I have been loving Tableau since 2016, which I have to double check my math all the time, but that's 8 years. I'm currently a senior data analyst at Disney on the streaming side. But prior to Disney, I was at Major League Soccer. Before that, I was actually at a club. I was at Philadelphia Union. Before that, I was at Longwood Gardens, a botanical garden. And then before all of that, I was studying classical flute performance. So a whole story. But I found love in my data career for Tableau, and it has been a journey with highlights, including being a Tableau ambassador, entering in IronBiz, and most recently at TC24 winning 2 Vizzies, Data Storyteller Extraordinaire and Favorite Viz of the Year. So what a journey. And I'm based in technically New York, but really I'm from New Jersey specifically. I'm from South Jersey, but I actually live in North Jersey now. So New Jersey. Anyone who's from here from New Jersey, New Jersey. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, team. All right. So we have a little warm up. And so I will pass to introduce it.
Yeah, we're going to take an interactive live poll today. So you're going to get a code on your phone. I'm going to share the screen on. Okay, I'm now sharing a new platform we're trying out called Mentimeter. So you can go to menti.com and then put in that 8-number code at the top of your screen or scan the QR code. So as we go through these questions, I'm going to move them and we're going to see what people are going to answer live. So we're building charts together live. So just go ahead, answer that first question, and we'll see how many people are from calling in from where. And I'm going to make sure I do this myself as well. And if it's a little too small for you to really go into where exactly you are in the country, I think it's okay to just aim for your continent, your country. That's fine.
Wow, this is so hard. I'm like, my fingers are like really fat. Like, where am I?
The world is a big place.
The pin is so hard to place.
We have a lot of East Coasters, and they're just all aggregating into this one point, even though I saw some of them were a little bit more north. Ooh, where's this? Okay, that's fun. It's cool. I see we've got 17 attendees, so I'm going to give everyone just another minute to fill this out. And then we've got a couple more questions. And I think it'll be really interesting for everyone if they just take note of these answers. Not really take note of them, but just pay attention about the people you're in this virtual room with for the next hour and a half. All right. So on your screen, it's going to say this presenter hasn't changed slides yet, and that's going to happen when I do that. So here we go. Biased east-west, correct. All right. How many years have you used Tableau? Any product of Tableau, Tableau Server, Tableau Online or Tableau Cloud now, Tableau Prep, any of those? Ooh, I really like this. We have a lot of people who are not quite super users at 20 years use of Tableau, but I also believe Tableau is not that much older than 20. I wonder if there's anyone, if we'll ever get someone who's at 20 years of experience of Tableau, and it will be a job requirement for an entry-level Tableau developer role. Okay, I love this. And as I mouse over, we can also see kind of where these answers are. A lot in the, I'm guessing this is 1 year and maybe 2 years. That's fun. All right, next slide. What's your favorite chart type? You don't have to write chart, so this can be anything, bar, dot plot, anything. Just go for it. Ooh, and who doesn't love a fun word cloud? I feel like people might be a little hungry. I see donut up there. Ooh, interactive. I hope this meets your standards for an interactive chart. Sunburst. All right, where did that go? Is a map a chart type? Yes, I would say so. And there's so many different kind of like map charts too. You've got your filled map, you've got your, what else are there? Network? Yeah. Time map, love that. Dendrograph. Can someone remind me what the dendrograph is?
It's the one that looked like evolution tree.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Ooh.
Is that yours,
Someone's
Kevin?
fancy.
Oh.
Someone's fancy here. I love that. All right. Moving on. What's your astrology sign? We're currently in Virgo season. I am a Virgo. So this is my time, I think. Ooh. I love this. How many colors is too many colors for a bar chart? I hope it's not this. We don't have any Aquarius or Pisces. This seems unfortunate. Thank you for liking this question. You may thank Elaine, Emily, and June who enjoy this. All right, I think we're on our last question. How many languages can you speak? Even a little bit. So I'm talking languages like English, Mandarin, Korean. SQL does not count for this question.
I later realized that like SQL and Tableau calculation formula, they're kind of like dialects.
That's true.
Right. They look a little bit similar, but not quite.
Duolingo 100% counts. Even a little bit counts. Oh, wow. I'm not sure where this lies on the chart, but 6 people speak a large number of languages. Ooh, that's impressive. All right. Thanks everyone for participating in our little live poll. We've reached the end of our Mentimeter.
Mentimeter.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing because I believe
All right. Before we forge forward with Kevin's talk, we would like to introduce the newest version of Tableau, Tableau 2024.2. It includes Einstein Copilot, multi-fact relationships, Viz extensions, including Sankey. I remember Sankey was listed as a favorite chart type. Feel free to download and learn about the new features.
I also remember when multi-fact relationships were teased during TC22 and
The
didn't come
meatballs.
out. And we called it the meatball.
Mhm.
And it's finally released. So I think this is a really exciting update.
Coming up.
Go ahead. Okay, DataFam Europe is coming to London this November 11th to 12th. You can sign up and get to know everything about DataFam, and I made a cute little QR code for you, for everyone, if you happen to be in Europe during that time.
And last, we would like to plug the Data Plus TV challenge. It's a really big data set, and there's a lot of interesting information in there. So feel free to explore it and publish it using the hashtag Data Plus TV to share your wonderful work with the Data Fam. All right, now on to the main event. Kevin, let me stop sharing so you can share your screen.
Awesome. Well, great. That's it. Cool. You're looking at the right thing, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you for handing it to me. Let's get started. It's going to be a lot of things to cover today. If you find that I talk too much, just tell me that, Kevin, we heard enough of your story. Let's start the Q&A. I'll pause whenever you want. Well, welcome everyone to the very first Asian and Pacific Islanders Tableau user group. My name is Kevin. If we have any Mandarin speaking people here, which I'm assuming that we might have some, my Mandarin name is Huang Kewen. So I've been speaking multiple languages throughout my life. But today I'll be doing this in English. Well, before I start, I'd just like to show my appreciation to Elaine for reaching out, inviting me to present at this very first event of the group. I'd also like to thank the Data Fam community, just in general. Later, I'll call out some names, but I'd like to thank you all for welcoming me warmly and help me grow my data career. So thank you. With that said, before I start talking about my journey, I'd like to acknowledge one thing that's very important to me, which is the privilege and fortunes that I have throughout my journey. A lot of time we look at things from the negative perspective, the challenges, the struggles, but sometimes we forgot to count the things that we already have and things that have been helping us subconsciously. I'm not going to read through this, but things like the fact that I'm a Chinese man that's mostly healthy and speak multiple languages, I have a working visa, all of these things already set me in a more likely to be success position than most people in the world. So later when you hear the story about my struggles, how I tackle them, be mindful that I also have a lot of things that help me along the way. So I'm not coming from a completely underdog perspective, so to speak. So with that said, now let's talk about my journey. So I was born and raised in Malaysia. Let me know if there are any Malaysians in the talk. I know that we have someone from Jakarta, which is from Indonesia, our neighbor. I was born and raised in Malaysia in the 90s. And after that, I went to Taiwan, Zhonghai University for my bachelor. I have a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. In my third year, my junior year, I went to Australia, New South Wales University, for a one-semester study abroad program. That was the very first time where I lived in a completely English environment. That was when I realized that I could survive in a foreign country, speaking a language that's not my native tongue. After I went back to Taiwan to complete my study, I went to National Taiwan University to be a molecular biologist in a biomedical lab. It was an interdisciplinary lab with physical chemistry, computer simulation, and medical research. And I was a molecular biologist in a collaboration. After working there for 3 years, I realized that maybe I should start a PhD. So I flew all the way to Indiana in the United States to pursue my PhD degree in chemistry also. And later I'm going to talk more about that. And by the end of that, I realized that I'm done with chemistry. Let's just move out of there. So eventually I landed a job in Chicago in the credit card company Discover Financial Services. I've been a business intelligence analyst, or BI analyst for short, for 3 years. So this is my overall journey to the West. This is a linear version of my timeline where I started as a bachelor in chemistry, and now I am a lead BI analyst at Discover. I switched my career path in the middle of my age, I guess. And I also like to call out that other than my job, those that paid me, or my study journey as a student, I have also been active in the DataFam community. I was a featured author by the end of my PhD. And then a year after working in Discover, I became an ambassador. And this would be my, I already got my ambassadorship since 2022. And starting this year, I have also been bestowed the title of a Wee-sionary. Later, I can talk more about what it means. But these are my journeys so far. When I look back, when I was a bachelor, I was brewing a lot of chemical solutions, alcohol and organic solutions and whatnot. And now, as an analyst and a DataFam Tableau community leader, I'm also brewing solutions, just that these are visual solutions to tackle analytics and business problems. So, different solutions, but the same analyst. First, let's talk about why I changed my career. Like, why would someone have a PhD made that leap out of academia? Well, after graduated from Donghai, I work in a molecular biology lab. Day in and day out, I basically cultivate genetically modified bacteria, extract special proteins out of them, and use a lot of scientific instruments to analyze the data. The data that I got out of the experiments often look like what's on the left. A lot of line charts comparing where are the peaks, and how it shifts when we change the experiment conditions. And then based on those experimental data, we combine that with computer simulations information to figure out how many water molecules surrounding a certain part of the protein. Everything sounded very cool, except there are only, I don't know, less than 50 people in the world that care about it. And I also realized that day in and day out, being in a lab, smell like bacteria, and then working with bacteria till like 2 a.m., it's really not something that I like the rest of my life to be. Meanwhile, I increasingly grew appreciation and interest in how people learn from these complicated scientific visualization. So I decided when I started my PhD, I like to study how people made sense of scientific visualization. I was fortunate enough to collaborate with Harvard Medical School and University of Toronto and University of UC Davis. And they produce a 5-minute animations explaining a biomedical concept. And I got to evaluate the efficiency of that animation in conveying scientific information. So it was a long 5 years collaboration. Everything sounded very exciting, except the fact that I had no idea how to evaluate the animation. Like, how could you tell whether a visualization is good or bad? This sounded very nebulous, but let me explain why it's so challenging. When an animation is produced, scientific animations or any kind of animation, you have so many components in play, and you constantly have to identify these components, including the production team's original intentions, like what kind of concepts they're trying to convey, the designer's artistic license, like why do they use rainbow color here but not there, something like that. What kind of content and design it's in the animation, because we know that those would play a role in the target audience understanding, right? And of course, once the animation is launched, what's the target audience prior knowledge of the presented material, and what's their knowledge after watching it? In the 5 year of my PhD journey, I gathered all of these informations. I had no idea how to analyze it at all. I just knew that I had a lot of data. So I talked to some professor, and then long story short, I was introduced Tableau desktop in spring 2019. After learning it for 1 semester, I started using it to analyze my data, accompanied with Excel and Python. And in that summer, I presented a poster on how I analyzed the data. And then a couple of years later, I had another final poster. And of course, turned out it was very easy to use Tableau, Tableau Prep and Tableau Desktop to quickly generate data for visual analytics. I was able to finish my dissertation writing with so many good charts and graphs to explain my finding that all of my all of my committee members were very impressed. I'm just going to zoom into a certain part of my poster to let you see that. You can see how I compare the content in the animation with how many seconds it's presented via different design element in each column, and then compare that with student understanding of that concept before and after watching the animation. You can see that student gained a lot of understanding after watching the animation. And eventually I kind of concluded that concepts that were shown longer with more design elements, students tended to understand them more. So this is a very short version of my 5-year PhD. So by the end of my PhD, I kind of grew tired of academia, partly because it was the end of the pandemic. And then I've seen enough of the not so fancy side of academia during the pandemic. So I decided it would be better for my well-being to seek an opportunity out of academia. I reached out to a lot of companies, including data consulting firms, all of those big names, small names. I even reached out to some big fancy places that do a lot of animations. I reached out to some scientific visualization production company. I reached out to museums. I even reached out to Pixar and Disney, like just to see, does anyone want to hire someone that can do data analytics? I didn't have much luck. So I had to change my, strategy in the middle of my PhD, or on the later half of my PhD, to land a job. And of course, eventually I landed the job, and then I transit into all the things that I've just said. So what helped with my transitions? Like, what did I do to help me landed in a good job? And what fueled my further career growth? Like, I didn't just land in a new job. I like to see myself striving in these situations. So today we're going to cover more on these. The first lesson that I've learned is that you need to show, don't just tell what you know. By the end of my PhD, I made a pivotal decision. That was, I believe, the first year of the pandemic, and then Tableau decided to hold a free virtual conference called the Conference-ish. And by the end of that, I've learned something that called Tableau Public and the Makeover Monday Challenge. And someone kept encouraging me that you need to like start creating visits if you like to land a job in the industry. So I created a lot of visits and then shared them with the data fam. So these are pivotal to my journey. When I first participated in the Makeover Monday Challenge, my visits were very, traditional, conventional. They look very square, very big, a lot of words. They're not bad. They're not bad, but you can tell, you can still smell and sense the student in me, right? They look very much like someone's publication. But after several months, my visits started to get more and more stylized. I started to use more saturated color, started to lean away from the traditional path, started to play with Figma and other mediums. And I realized that building a portfolio is not just for showmanship. It's also an excellent opportunity for you to grow your skill set in a short period of time and make you stand out in a crowd, because a lot of people that apply for a job, they didn't have a portfolio, surprisingly. So after using Tableau Public for about 8 years, I had 30 visits already, because each week I produce one simple viz. And 10 out of 30 of my visits were chosen by Eva Murray and Charlie Hutchison, which are the hosts of Makeover Monday. These visits were chosen by them as favorites of the week. So that was definitely a confidence boost to me, because I came from someone that thought I could only survive in academia to someone that realized that, oh, I could actually do data viz, to someone that realizing that, oh, actually my visits are not bad, because it kept being chosen as favorite from a global data fam challenge. After participating in Makeover Monday, I was also selected as one of the feature authors by Tableau Public in April of 2021. So that was definitely another shot of confidence. Most importantly, when I share my visits on Twitter and LinkedIn and some data visualization Slack channel, I got a phone call from someone, and he's like, I am also from Tableau. I'm sorry, I'm also from Purdue Chemistry. And your visit is very interesting, but why are you doing these visits? And would you like to hop on a call? So we talked, we connected, and then by the end of that conversations, he learned that I would like to seek an opportunity out of academia. And he said, we might have an opening soon, so stay tuned, and if you'd like to work with us, we can connect again. So that's actually how I landed in my current position. Not sure if my boss is here. If anyone's called Ford in the participants, that's my boss. Anyway, so that's how I landed my job, by having a Tableau Public account, use it, publishing on it, be vocal on my visits, and eventually someone found me. There are more accomplishments that I've gotten out of my portfolio. To date, I have 4 visits of the day. 2 of my visits been featured in the Tableau Conference Data Village. I have been invited to talks and workshops many times to talk about one or several of my visits. 2 years ago, I was chosen as a Tableau Public ambassador to show, because I've been showing what kind of creative and fun things you can do with the platform. And last couple of weeks ago, I found that one of my visits was featured in IMDb website. That's the closest have ever gonna be like to star fame, like have one of anything of mine being published on IMDb. That IMDb visit is actually very important to me, because I created a expensive, exploding bagel chart representing every films played by the cast of Everything Everywhere All at Once. If anyone have seen that movie, can you just like type +1 or anything in the chat? Just let me know. For those who are not familiar with the movie, it's a movie about Asian immigrants' struggles and family relationship in the United States, and how that is conveyed in a very whimsical manner. I thought hopefully my viz also convey the same feeling, like it's whimsical, something's about to collapse. And of course, I'm using the bagel. This viz means a lot to me, and I'm just very appreciated that it's been featured by IMDb. The second lesson that I've learned from my journey is that just because you transition from a career to another, it doesn't mean that you start from scratch. Earlier, when I talk about my journey, I talk about how I was in chemistry, biology, and in chemistry. All of this sounds very distant from data visualization, right? But if you think about it, I was a scientist and then a visualization researcher. And also, of course, I was also an educator because I was a teaching assistant while I was at Purdue. As a scientist, you have to do a lot of things that are actually very similar to what you do. You need to have critical thinking skill. You need to know logics a lot. You need to know all those ands, ors, things, simple statistic, data collection, processing, analytics, graphing, presentations. These are the things that you've been honing for years. Even though you don't carry the title of scientist with you, you carry all these skill sets with you to your next journey. The same goes with my experience as science researcher and educators. I'm not going to read through this, but the gist is that when I transitioned my job from one another, it really got me thinking, what have I been bringing to my new position as a BI analyst, as well as an ambassador and a visionary? Just as an example, now when I talk to people from Tableau, R&D team, a lot of times I'm leveraging my experience in UX UI design and user testing and software productions in discussing technical matters with them. So these put me in useful positions from others' perspective. And I definitely deem them useful for my career. The third lesson that I've ever learned, that I've learned from my transitions, is that giving back may always lead to gaining more. I could have just been a consumer of Tableau, right? I could have just published on Tableau Public, got a job, call it a day, close it, move on with my life. But I eventually got chosen as an ambassador and visionary, even though they never explicitly told me why. But I do believe that it was because of some of the contributions that I've made earlier, and they've been benefiting to my later journeys more and more. Here are some first few dominoes that I believe to fall before everything cascade down. I'm going to talk through each of them. Number one, it's my first presentation in a Tableau user group. After the 2021 Tableau user group, my boss, which happens to be the Chicago Tech leader, he reached out to me and he asked, "Oh, would you like to share what you've learned from the virtual conference in the Tech, which is going to happen by the end of next week?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So I created a viz quickly explaining 3 very simple concepts that I learned from the conference, and I presented it in the group. It was definitely something that I find very aspirational, not from myself, but from the concept that you can continue to help others learn, even though you're not in academia. I may not like the bureaucratism in academia, but I certainly love education and teaching and knowledge sharing. So this experience it's kind of like reignite my passion in teaching. And a second domino that fell was a couple months later, I decided to create a viz on my Tableau Public. Couple months before that, I started to use Tableau and Figma together in my company's business dashboard production. And after several rounds of trial and errors, I concluded that there may be 3 distinctive ways to use both tools together to create business dashboards. So I thought, let's just quickly create something, very summative and put it on my Tableau public profile and call it a day. I put this on it, forgot about it. But then couple of months later, I got this text from Florida Tuck leader. One of them reached out and said that, oh, your visit is really cool. Can you show us exactly how you did them? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can just give a presentation, or would you like to have a hands-on workshop? So we turned something 30 minutes to an 1 hour step-by-step workshop, teaching people how to sign up for Figma, create image, and how to load it to Tableau and create a business dashboard. The video recording of that Tuck group blew up. And then suddenly every Tuck leader wanted a piece of it. Like people wanted to say, oh, can you explain that in Mandarin? Can you explain that, find different business, different application, and then just talk about it for 1 hour? I quickly realized that that was something that a lot of people have been looking for. It's like a business dashboard that look more modern, yet functional in terms of UI. All of these eventually led to my presentations in Tableau conference last year and this year. Even though I didn't explicitly say that it's about Figma, but I used the term image, how to use image creatively or image generating software to boost your dashboard design. Last year, I talked about how to creatively use image in 3 ways when it comes to dashboard development. And this year at the conference, I talked about how to use custom shaped icons in business dashboard, which these icons, of course, you generated on Figma. So all of these talks and eventually these talks, my presentations, led me to getting the biggest growth VZ award in last year's Tableau conference. And eventually I was chosen as a visionary this year. I believe it's because of my contribution to the community. To date, I have like more than 15 talks and workshops, more than 50 published visits. A lot of them were hidden, and more than 2 career panel discussions, many collaborations and R&D projects. These are something that I am not just proud of, but also I cherish the opportunities that's given to me to participate in these events. And here are some key takeaways. When I say show, don't just tell. What I mean is you should stand out with your own unique creations if you want to be in the data fields. These could be blogs, codes, visits, or ideas that you have, or sketches. You may show your true self in your unique way. The second thing is that career transitions doesn't mean starting from scratch. And you should always remember that skill sets are more transferable than the titles that you hold for a short period of time. And giving back may lead to earning more. And if you contribute more to the data communities, people will see you as a leader, not the other way around. You don't like put a tag on yourself, say that I'm a leader, and you go do something. So with that said, thank you for your attention. I hope that I didn't talk too much. And yeah, these are my ways of connecting. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Kevin. And yeah, we invited you here to talk, so we're happy to hear you talk. Let's open up the chat to questions. We have a Q&A feature, but
if you want to, you can also raise your hand and ask a question, I guess. I see
I'm
that.
not sure if it's possible on the Bevy platform to raise your hand like you would like on Zoom or Google.
I actually see that icon, like the raise your hand icon. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Oh, open Q&A started. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Q&A for me. It can be Q&A for Emily, June, Bianca, Elaine. But yeah, how long did I speak? Like 20 minutes?
haven't
Yeah,
stopped timing you.
I think it was about 20 minutes, so
Okay,
I think
cool.
you're fine.
As long as it's not like so long that I keep on checking my clock, it's okay. I think I see a question. Devon asks, where do you get inspiration to create visits, and where do you find the data? Let's answer the second half of the question first. Most of my data are from community challenges like Makeover Monday, Back to This Basic, real world fake data, games night viz. If I can drop the link in the chat later, but basically if you go to Tableau public, you know what? Do you mind if I just share the screen and just show people how to do it? Because I think it's better to teach people how to fish than to show them the fish. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so if you go to Tableau public, you may click learn and then click community resources and then learn more for community projects. Here, oh, sorry. And here, if you scroll down, you will see all of these data fam challenges. Anyone that you click on learn more, it will bring you to a link to show you all the data sets that they have been leveraging. So that's how you get the data. Just so many data out there. And let's talk about inspiration. I think inspirations, most of the times I use Tableau to find inspirations. I would like to go to Visit of the Day to check out what new visits. And if I like them, I will favorite them. Let me just sign in real quick. Great. If I like them, I'll favorite them like this one. And usually after several rounds of favoriting, I would have a bank of favorite visits that I may use as a source of inspiration for my next project. So this is how I find inspiration. Yep. I also pay attention to a lot of other related field like graphic design, poster design, game UI design, just to see what kind of inspirations I can get from them to make my dashboard. Hope that answered your question, Devin. So Dennis have a question. Aside from Tableau and Figma, what other tools do you use for data management, prep, analytics, visualization, etc.? Well, given that this is not Kevin, the Discover employee presenting, I'm not going to talk about anything I use for Discover. I don't want to get into trouble with them. But personally, I use Excel a lot, especially when I have to generate visits that are when I have to do data densification and stuff like that. I also use pen and paper a lot. I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, great. Let me try to just flip into something that I drew, if I may. But yes, a lot of people it should be emphasized more and more. Pen and paper are great. Pen and paper are great in creating visualizations. Is it? Okay, cool. For example, for my, I have a visualizations out there about dim sum. I am not going to show that but I just have a lot of sketches on my book just to like explore with the idea, should it be a fully bloom lotus or a half bloom lotus and stuff like that. It's a lot, or for my custom button icon, I also like drew out like how I like to explain the icons like layer by layer. Yeah, it's sketching. It's a big thing in my practice for visualization. Cool. Hope that answered your question. Mark, what would you say was your biggest struggle when transitioning careers? Business specific knowledge. I moved from science to credit card company. I know statistic, I know numbers, I know how mathematics works. No idea how credit card works other than I'm a consumer. So that was my biggest like solid struggle. The other more emotional struggle would be the belief in yourself. Like the first couple of months when I transitioned out of academia, I had so many nights with nightmares because I thought like, what if you step out of academia and you realize that that's the only thing that you know how to do? That was horrifying to think of. And eventually, after several big and successful projects, I concluded that I would survive. But yeah, that was huge. Cool. What are your suggestions from Ananye? Hope that I say that close. What are your suggestions to get Vis of the Day? Here's the thing, getting Vis of the Day's ambassador or visionaries, a lot of these are accolades that people give to you. You don't get to decide whether people give it to you or not. So I think we need to keep a distance in merits like that. Though with that said, I think to create a visualization that other people appreciate, a visualization with a good thumbnail, like in your Tableau public profile, and then have some social media presence to amplify your creations, this may help you to get a Vis of the Day. But again, it's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. Like there are like 4 million users on Tableau public, and then there's so many visits out there. So yeah, but these are some pointers. Cool. Bonnie, how long did it take you to build your Vis on everything everywhere all at once? Oh, that was, oh God, let me complain about Tableau, like just 1 minute. Well, it's not a complaint. When they reached out to me and asked me to create a promotional material for the challenge, right? It was an honor. I truly appreciated it. It was in the same week of Iron Vis submission. And I had to choose, and of course I was like, oh yeah, it's data plus movies. It was a great experience, but I think I had about less than a month to figure that out. And yeah, and because the data set was big, the exploration phase was a little bit sluggish than I liked. But yeah, overall it's a good experience, and I love it. Karen, I love it. Karen is the manager for the campaign, so I'm just shouting out to her. Yeah, she did so much. Emily, how many visits do you have hidden on your Tableau public, or are there any you're excited to show publicly? I have about 11 hidden visits. A lot of them are hideous thing that I created when I was doing Makeover Monday. I don't have anything new on it, like anything that's not published yet. They're still like on my desktop. So there's only published stuff on it, and I decided to hide it. I mean, I don't mind showing you that. It's not the end of the world.
Do you show your graveyard of broken visits?
I know, like I know they're not like really bad, but they're just like mediocre compared to other things. For example, I have one about productions of mines, coal mines in India and stuff like that. Like they're not the end of the world. They're just not as intuitive to understand. So, and here's the thing about the hidden function in Tableau Public, which a lot of people, even some Tableau COE people, didn't know that. Just because you publish on Tableau Public doesn't mean that everybody get to see it. If you're, let's say, in the middle of job application, you can share a different combinations of business out there to different, like to the hiring managers. So you get to show and hide specific collections of your business. Sometimes you can even show some of your uglier business out there if you want to show the progress of growth. So yeah, just throw it out there. Cool. But great questions, Emily. Cool.
Great, yes, Kevin.
Yep, another question is from Jacob. Oh, Jacob, I know Jacob. How do you manage your time between working full-time and creating visualizations for the public? Do you spend more time cleaning the data, designing visualization, or on something else? Let's answer the first half of questions. How do you manage your time between both? My job's been fortunate. Discover has a very strong work-life balance. And here's the thing, coming out of academia, you always thought you have to work max, right? You have to max it out because your personal legacy is tying to your research outcome. Once you cross that border and be in industry, of course, you still need to be responsible for your job. But my industry has been very generous in my time. I never have to work more than 40 hours a week, and I've been working at Discover for more than 3 years, almost 3 years. So after working around 5, going back home after dinner, working out, I still have a lot of time and energy to work on my personal business. But with that said, I'm not like, I know that a lot of people here have very high visualization count. Like Dennis has like one viz or multiple visits like every week. I don't have that energy level. And also I like to play video game very much. So I've been playing video games. So I just try to keep it, I wouldn't say keep it minimal, but I definitely just try to do it when I feel like it and when I have a very interesting story to tell or data to show. Second half of the question, do you spend more time cleaning the data, designing the viz, or on something else? I'll say ideation's been the longest phase. For example, the dim sum viz that I made, I think 2 months, it's trying to figure out the design. I got a data set very quickly, but I was sketching on a whiteboard and stuff, like places that I didn't even have a record on. And just to come up with something that I like. And because these projects don't have a deadline, don't have a hard deadline, like no hard consequence for not turning it on time, I get to spend as much time as I want to do it. And of course, after that, usually the second half would be spending like 3 long nights to figure out the visualization part. But I feel like once you got the ideation part nailed down, the rest is just a series of problem solving when it comes to which dots to put at which pixel. So if it's mathematics problem, it's not a problem. Yeah. Cool. Elaine, was it not possible to submit EAO viz for IronViz last year because my viz was in public after the deadline? And also, I believe the topic was different, right? Can someone remind me of what's last year's topic?
Love.
It was love.
I know. Well, it's a different field. Trust me, the finalists, not just the finalists, the top 10s in different continents, their viz are way better than that viz, and way more storytelling elements, in-depth analysis, design, creativities. We should celebrate them. Like, there are enough spotlights in that bigger viz. I appreciate it. If one day Michelle Yeoh will retweet it, it would be lovely. But hey, it's IronViz finalists are all extremely talented, and I've learned so much from them. Yeah. Cool. Any questions? I think Jacob's one of the first people that I connected with via my Figma stuff in one of the talks. So say hi to him. Question from Mark: how do you plan out your creative vizes? Specifically, are there any tips or substance on how to better sketch out your dashboards? The shittier the piece of paper that you drew on, the easier the ideas flow. So I feel like sometimes you're like, oh, I have a very precise, very clean notebook, and it's really hard to sketch something out of the world out there. But if it is just a piece of very, very thin, semi-transparent paper, you can draw whatever you want on it. Or sometimes it's just a napkins. You can draw something crazy on it. That's something that's been a tip on my end. Like I like to sketch on. I mean, for example, my current shower is a glass. The door is a glass. Oh, that thing's been excellent. Like because there's literally no commitment. You can draw a lot of things that's not organic on it. Just try to feel it. So that's been useful for me just to sketch in random places. And also I've been adapting, but in terms of, let's say, professional work, business dashboards, our company or my teams were adapting something that we call the double diamond framework. It's like we try to gather business requirements first. So it's very exploratory, very expensive. And then we're trying to consolidate all of those requests into a list, a finite list. And then we explore different ways of visualization again, expands a little bit. and then eventually consolidate into a business dashboard. It's called a double diamond framework. If you want to learn more about it, go check out a talk from Lindsay Bessendahl and Autumn Bethany in 2023 Tableau conference. Yes. Cool. Hope that answered your question. And if anyone can drop that link in the chat, that would be grateful.
That question from Mark was to the whole panel. So Emily, can you share your creative process as well? Like a little bit.
I love what Kevin said, which is the shittier the paper, the more your idea can ideate. I'm also a doodler by nature, but I take forever. Like I have an idea and I just let it percolate and brew in my brain for like sometimes months at a time. I have like this little like mental list, and sometimes I'll like, and it could be anywhere. Like I'll be on the train and I'll get an idea for like a scatter plot or something. And if I don't have a piece of paper, I have like a little notes app that I'll like write it down, and maybe like randomly, like that happened with my Taylor Swift viz. I've always wanted to do a Taylor Swift viz, but I just never found the right story. I need deadlines to get anything done, or I will percolate on an idea forever. So I think if I look at like my diary entries, my very first Taylor Swift viz idea was probably somewhere around like 2019, 2020, but I never found the right story. I never found, like, I just was always in the back of my head of being like, you should do a Taylor Swift viz. And it's funny because I think it was Iron Viz 21 it was like Joy. I was going to do a Taylor Swift idea, and it just didn't manifest until 2023. So last October was when it finally like clicked. And then the process of like developing the viz, I feel like I'm a person who throws a lot of ideas at the wall. So it's a very like intensive where I just throw ideas to see what sticks. Sometimes to save on time, I'm ideating in like PowerPoint and wireframing first. But a lot of the times, especially if I'm like exploring a data set and I'm like editing the data set, sometimes I'm in Tableau. Sometimes I'm not even in Tableau. I'm just like closing my eyes and like moving the Tableau board in my head, which I do a lot now, especially like stepping away from my Tableau public life and more in like my work day-to-day life, because I'm so familiar with the data set, and more so like because we have a very like a style guide that we try to follow and stuff. Most of the time when I'm ideating like an idea, it's mostly like I just it's like in Queen's Gambit, I like close my eyes and I see the Tableau board and I'm just moving things around or moving charts around, and then like mentally being like, okay. So I wish I wrote things down more, because especially when it's so fun to like go back on, but then it's kind of like, I love the shower thing. I can't do that because I'm literally like always running 10 minutes late and I take forever to hop into the shower. But I feel like that's like my equivalent is I have the image in my head, which is also sometimes what drives me to finish a viz very quickly, is if I can ideate and see the viz, specifically the viz in my head, I can bring it to life. And the gamble then is, does the data support it? Which is actually the true risk of like ideating in your head before you even touch the data, is sometimes, which has happened a couple of times, I've tried to build a dash, or I tried to build a visualization, and the data is just not there. And I just have to like scrap the idea, like wipe it from my memory and just move on. But when the data is there and I'm right, oh my God, I like throw a viz within like an hour, which is crazy because I will go 6 months without visiting on Tableau Public. So it's like, it's a little chaotic. And I've tried to like bring a little more order to that chaos. But sometimes when lightning strikes and you have an idea for a viz, I try to really capitalize and get as much of that like energy and momentum as out of the way as much as possible. And then it's just like bringing it to the finish line. So that's kind of the way it is. It's a little chaotic, but it's kind of what's worked with my brain over the years. Because I'm also an 8-year Tableau user like Kevin. Kevin, you and I are the 8 years.
No,
Oh, you're 6. You're 4. Wait, you're 5. I can't count.
How is this 6?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's late. It's late. Oh yeah, yeah. It's it sounds like well, usually the chaos is because you enjoyed it, so you just keep on tweaking things, right? And because it's something fun. It's not for work. No one's paying you for it, so you get to be as free form as possible.
And I like the idea. I really appreciate that you also are like, I just doodle and it come up, because for me, that's where my best ideas would come, when I have no pressure and I'm just like going about my day, going to the grocery store. And that's when I've had some of my best ideas, has been not even thinking about Tableau, and it finally comes through.
Any additional insights before I finish the Q&A?
June, Bianca, Elaine, what about your thought process?
Oh, go ahead, Bianca.
Sorry, everything is moving at like 2 frames per second. I don't viz very much on public. A lot of it is like behind, let's say, tied to a company. But I'm trying to viz more in public, and the way I do it, both professionally and personally, people find a little crazy, which is where all the ideas are up in here. I'm hearing a lot of that, but I never actually know how the dashboard looks until I open Tableau and I put everything together. I have all the data, I have the charts I want, but it all goes together right at the end. And exactly when I touch Tableau, I don't draw anything. I don't use any whiteboarding tools. It just goes in Tableau. And so it means that my process means there's a lot of changing things once it's in Tableau. I move things around. I end up deciding, oh, this actually doesn't look good next to each other. And I change everything again. So I go back and forth a lot with my process.
Yeah, honestly, I would say I'm kind of like you too, Bianca. Like, I just kind of throw everything on Tableau and see where it goes. Like, let the wind speak to me. See what's in the air today. But I think that said, I feel like everyone has their own, little chaotic methodologies. At the end of the day, whatever works the best for you, you should totally just stick to that. I think I remember being forced to kind of like use the whiteboards, and I was just not like as helpful just because I can't see how it changes. I think I like that when you just jump on Tableau itself and just do everything there, you can kind of like see how it evolves. That means you're gonna have like hundreds of sheets, but that's fine. No one else is gonna see it. Your stakeholders are not gonna see it. Just hide them. It's fine. But yeah.
I think a lot of time when it comes to the process, the reason why we need it, or it's taught in a standardized version, is so that when people work in a huge team, they can be on the same page, right? They could be on the same page. We're currently in this phase and in that phase and in that phase. But for your personal project or something that's you just do for fun, you like this is a huge group of nerds. We like to soak it in and then just squeeze every joy out of it. That's why we like to go back and forth. That's why it's free form. We talk about how we struggle through it, but we're actually secretly enjoying it. So. Yeah.
All right, with that, I'm going to finish Q&A. Oh no, okay. One more question from Bill. How can we help the team or other users within the company, especially those who are not IT professionals, grow together and strengthen their skills in data viz and processing? Last question.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing that question on my Q&A. Let me close open. Oh, Bill. Okay, it's on the top. How can we
Kevin, do you want to take that one? Because I can take it, at least from
I think you can take it and then I can supplement. Yeah.
Okay. From my experience, it's almost like a numbers game. So at least for me, like I work for a very large company, And my team, for context, is the BI and reporting team, where we kind of run the center of excellence. We're under data governance. So it's really trying to get all the different analytics and IT teams to create visualizations and use Tableau. At least we're going in the right direction. I used to be, prior to working at a really large company, when I was a lot smaller, I would be like, you build it, they will come, or like align with so-and-so team and get them to champion and blah, blah, blah. But when you're at like such a large company, it's actually kind of, it's really counterintuitive, but you really have to get your internal team aligned first. That is my opinion, that you absolutely have to get like, it's a really great way to test if like how you're building things and stuff is actually scalable for someone else. Like I'm on a team of now 9, but when I joined the team, we were a team of 5. And we were a team of 5. Yeah, we were a team of 5. So as you guys know, I can't always count because I thought Kevin had 6 fingers. But just getting 5 people to agree, even sometimes, like, I mean, there was 5 people, but there were 2 lead designers. So just getting 2-3 people to agree on like, this is our font size, this is how we're gonna move in Tableau together, we're gonna use containers, we're not floating things unless we absolutely have to float it. Like getting just 5 people is like step 1. And then as you get your internal team unified, then you can kind of start to create your own center of excellence, center of enablement to enable other teams. Because if you're united and all your reporting products are united, then everyone's going to start being like, I want, like, it's going to be noticed that there's a whole team that's incredibly united, has a very united front on using data visualization and processing and the skill set and elegance of a product. And then from there, you start kind of onboarding other teams to get and buying them in, as well as like training them how you do it. But for me, like, the short and simple answer is, first you have to get your internal team aligned, because if your internal team is not aligned on it, then it's like, if I was like a team looking at another team trying to learn how to use Tableau or something from that other team, but I saw that team wasn't consistent within their own, I would be like, well, then I don't have to listen to the rules. I don't have to listen to your style guide. Like, it's like, I can just go off gut. And that's not quite the game that we're playing. We're trying to get people to be cohesive, which means not aggressively, but like nudging people into being like, this, stay with the pack, stay with the herd. I used to have this orchestra conductor in music school who would say this joke of like, do you know what happens to a wildebeest when it breaks from the pack? It becomes a wildebeest. Play together. And that's like the mentality I have with like getting other teams to be cohesive with like my team. Is first I have to get my team to be cohesive, and then I can get other teams to kind of start listening and get buy-in and start collaborating with them, because it's much easier to get like, it's just much easier. Yeah, that's my little spiel on it.
Yeah. Largely agreeing what Emily said. When I introduced the Figma UI kit and design system to Discover, I was surprised that I was the first one did that. And then after my team after I realized how quickly I could move forward with my own project with my UI kit, my team started to realize that maybe we should learn it together, and then eventually become the whole. I wouldn't say every analyst at Discover adapted what we use, because the company is still very big, but there are more and more people wanting to learn more. And I think having them wanting to learn and then you introduce to them is way better than putting it on top of them. Yeah, that's the way to go. And one more thing that I like to say is I also do a lot of like a borderless doctor thing. Like people always so I'm not in a COE, I'm not in a center of excellence at all. But because kind of become well known on the street, they would just like call me and say, like, Kevin, I have a problem that I've been trying to figure out for 2 days. Can you help? And then we'll jump in, talk about fixed calculation or context filtering and stuff like that. And the more you help each people, and then word spreads, and then now more and more people want to do things the better way. That could help as well. But then that's a little bit difficult to do, because you need to have enough people to have that competency to amplify that effect.
Yeah, we do something similar to that too. That's kind of how, like, we originally were in a center of enablement, and then it kind of started to form. And it started with things like, we're just going to host an office hours once every 2 weeks. And in that hour, you can pop in and ask any question. And that was such a hit, because it was such an open invite. If someone's like, I just opened Tableau and I don't know what I'm doing, that was the time. It would get so big, we would break out into like breakout rooms. So like if someone had like data that wasn't, had certain data security on it, that like it was like, okay, only me and someone from the reporting team are in this breakout room and we can troubleshoot it together. Also having like a channel, I didn't realize, like, just having a channel being like, hey, Tableau creators, here's our channel. If you run into like, if you need permissions help or anything, like just throw it in there, and then like assigning your team to be like, okay, it's your turn to be on desk, almost like a help desk, but not quite. It made it really easy to track, because I was running into that same problem, Kevin. Everyone's asking me, and then I would be like, I can't answer these things. And like, it helped with the delegation. Also, it was a fun way to test your more junior developers to see how well they can troubleshoot for someone else. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, I was like a proud parent watching my like more junior staff who I've like introduced Tableau to. I was like, oh my God, like, you solved something that I didn't want to figure out how to do. Thank you.
It's good that you help them grow as well.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I wish that for you and your juniors.
All right. Thank you all for your wonderful questions. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. We are running behind in a great way due to a lot of great insights and thoughts. So thank you so much, Kevin and Emily and everyone else. Kevin recently had a article posted on Tableau blog about his journey. So feel free to read more about that and connect with him on any of these platforms. I had no idea you had a YouTube as well, Kevin.
It's just a playlist of all of my Tux presentation. I don't have I don't have the time for it. Video games more important.
Great. We initially planned for networking, but because we're running behind, we're gonna skip to our pop quiz. For those who are still on the call, there will be 2 winners, and you'll have a choice in one of these beautiful books: Information Dashboard Design by Stephen Few, Tableau Strategies by Ann Jackson and Luke Stank. I don't know, Stanky, got it. And the Big Book of Dashboards. And so, let's see. Please scan this QR code to participate. You'll be brought to a Google Forms. The answers to these questions are based on the questions asked in the warm-up poll. And so if you came late, apologies. It will be a guessing game for you. But if you stuck around, you might have a good memory for what people voted for. Kevin, are you also going to try to?
Oh, I was gonna let other people have the books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How generous.
Oh, you didn't tell me about the book sharing, because I have one extra copy of a data visualization book as well. Maybe next time we'll coordinate something. It's okay.
Will it be autographed?
It's not my book. Why am I autographing that book?
Because you're Kevin Wee, Tableau visionary.
I can print out my dissertation, and then I want to read that 300-page thing.
Am I allowed to participate?
Yeah, well, I selfishly, I want New York people, because I have never mailed a book to anyone before. So If you were in New York, it would be actually a little easier.
It would be an in-person delivery with a cup
It
of
would be an in-person delivery. I believe in me, as in I believe in my dad, who I'm going to give this to and go, can you mail this? Thank you. And then my poor sweet Filipino dad is going to be like, why are you making me do this? And I'm going to go, because you're my mailman. And that's a joke because my dad is mailman. So,
Oh.
yeah, that's
Thank you for the context.
Yeah, I kind of made that joke and I was like, that joke doesn't really hit because you guys don't know my dad. He's great.
Is he still like working?
No, he's retired now.
I see.
I know. So his job now is to drive my mom to work.
A chauffeur.
I know.
Oh, I was gonna still working in the industry of delivery. I see.
So still, yeah, calls it his BMW duty, his bring mama to work duty.
Oh.
I know. And then we have a dog. His name's Kuya Punsit. If anyone's Filipino, we did name our brother. We did name him Kuya Punsit because we've always wanted a brother and we like Punsit noodles. But my dad also like brings Kuya Punsit on like the drives to my mom. So like I get like texts of like my poor dog just sitting in the back seat, just like, why am I doing this?
Well,
If you're done with the Google form, feel free to shout it in the text so we know how we're progressing collectively as a group. Keep on guessing, Devin. You got this. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Mark.
Dennis, I'm not rooting for you because I don't want to deal with international mail.
that's already the easiest international delivery.
No, it's not, Kevin. Don't do that. No,
We're people from Indonesia.
that is true.
That's true. What's the heaviest book out of that three?
Definitely not the big book of dashboards, ironically, because it's paper. I think it's information dashboard design because it's a hardcover.
Oh, so you actually have the book. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have.
Nice.
We're not scammers. We're using
I thought you're gonna buy it later to send it. Okay.
We're not scammers.
I was gonna suggest that maybe you could suggest, ebook after if someone wants from out of US.
You can sketch all over these books, all your ideas.
Yeah. You won't tell the authors.
Thank you, Bill. It must have been harder for you since you came in later.
Quiz. It would be great to have the meetup in next year's conference in the Data Village.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I think that was actually where Elaine was like, maybe we should have a tug.
Yeah.
at
What
that
about
space.
us?
Yeah. What about us? So hopefully.
Should we go over the answers or shall we just hop into the closing remarks?
You can do what you can do what a teacher do, saying that I'm going to post the answers on my social media, and y'all can go check it and compare it against your own.
That is a good strategy.
Yes, Dennis. Oh, sorry, I was just. Of course, it's not an APA tug without a quiz. So
We had a lot of quizzes.
yeah, please anticipate more quizzes in the coming events.
I'll ask them to reconsider on your behalf. We'll post the answers to the questions tonight or tomorrow. So stay tuned. Let's see. Let's look at what's ahead. So the 2 winners of the quiz will be emailed. Emily will get your mailing address and her father will ship it along to you. There will be another tug event later this year, so follow us via LinkedIn to stay tuned for what's coming up. And if you're interested in speaking, please reach out. We'd love to have you and celebrate you and your achievements. Any other plugs before we conclude? All right. With that, thank you so much for attending this very special event, and I hope to see you in a future tug event. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.